It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. What makes a good Agile coach? I get asked that question all the time. Or the second one I get is, how do I become an Agile coach for Agile Dad? These are great questions, but I wanted to point out something interesting. I think when people ask that question, a lot of times they don't realize is that the question they're asking and the question I'm answering are two completely different things. Let me explain. So, I have leaders and executives who often challenge me and ask that question: how do I know if my coach is good? Or what types of things do I have to find out before I bring an agile coach in? And what I've discovered is that well, I'll start with this. I found a list of 100 questions you should ask someone before you hire them as your agile coach. Well, first of all, I don't know anyone who's going to take the time to ask 100 questions. Second of all, I don't even know if someone answered all 100 of these questions, and we scored all of them and put together a matrix. And I mean, it would be cumbersome. And I mean, we could figure out if the coach would be good, but I don't know that it resolved that issue. So bring in part two. Part two is that leadership doesn't want to make the investment in a coach, the financial investment or the time investment in bringing in a coach, if they don't know that it's going to end up perfectly for them. So there are a lot of trainers slash coaches out there that came up with different models to measure, whether it's the Agile Coaching Competency Framework or the Agility Health Radar or the Agile Coaching Growth Wheel. There are hundreds of these. And what I'm trying to say is, I'm not being critical of any one of them because, in their own right, each one of those has some incredible things in them that will really help you understand areas of competencies, skills, all the things that make a great agile coach. I just don't know if there's such thing as a scorecard that you can use to assess and figure out and to have a definitive answer. The truth is that a lot of what falls on being a good coach, and I know this is going to be shocking for you, is that people don't really care how much you know until they know how much you care. It's one of those things where you need to stop going through and evaluating every model that's out there and every assessment that's out there and figuring out how people score around foundational agile mindset elements, whether or not they have a breadth of communication and education skills, including facilitation, teaching, coaching, mentoring, etc. I think that no matter how well someone scores on this, if they don't have the right bedside manner to be a good agile coach and to really empower the teams to be successful, they're missing a significant and key piece of what they need in order for them to be successful. So there's a theory that goes along with this, and it's not too far separated from theory about just how to be a good human, how to be a good person. And I think what I'd like to do is put together just a short list, three things you can do or three things you can look for to help you understand and know that the person you're bringing in is the right coach for your organization. Coming at number one, before offering any advice or counsel to anyone, this person must first earn their trust. And the best way to establish and build trust between two people or a person and a team is to offer trust first. Express humility and genuine interest. Show vulnerability. Ask questions. One of the best things I could have ever done was I went to one of the most introvert developers and asked if I could sit with them for a few hours. And even though it didn't spark this huge whirlwind of conversation, I didn't feel like, oh, wow, what an incredible deal. It was one of those things where when I finally did get to sit down with this individual, and I let them know, hey, I don't know enough about what you do. Could you get me up to speed so that I could, you know, better understand what you do? And I think that what most people don't realize is that in most cases, people who are technical live for those moments because no one ever really cares what they're doing. People usually just care about the outcome. And as long as they're cranking out the widgets to achieve the outcome, we're good to go. But when someone expressed that level of care, it really caused this person to say, wow, they're invested in me. And I'll never forget it. The guy spent probably 30 to 40 minutes just explaining exactly what he was doing and how it impacted the customer. And I just thought it was the coolest thing on the planet. Okay, how about number two? Have and express passion for the problem space that your client lives in. If you don't genuinely have passion for solving their problems and helping them with issues, then you're likely not going to be the best coach for that organization. If you worked for a company that produces, I don't know, safety things for pets, and you don't have any pets yourself and you don't regard pets very high, that would just be a very gentle uh, way of discovering, if you will, that you need to think bigger, that you need to demonstrate your ability to understand, that you need to have passion for what they're doing, and get on fire and get excited about what they do. If you don't understand, there's no way you're going to be able to get inside of that problem space and understand the complexities that come with it from the company's history, culture, politics, etc. You need to be in the face of the problem and solving the problem in the trenches with the people who are doing it if you're a strong coach. Okay, last one. Be open and infinitely flexible when it comes to the client's business situation, politics, and complexities, just like I was just now talking about. But stay firm on the matters they've asked you to help them change. I've been to an organization before who remain unnamed, and I'll never forget it. They brought me in and they pulled me aside and said, Lee, they said, we don't necessarily want to change what we're doing. I said, okay, this, in fact, we love the current output. They said, it's just absolutely amazing. I said, but can you come in and take the rest of what we do and agilify it, sprinkle some of that scrum dust on it, make it scrummy. And I sat here thinking to myself, what a terrible position for a coach to be in. We want to do the same thing we've been doing over and over again and expect different results, i.e., definition of insanity. Yet we want to have changes, but we don't want to implement the changes that you're going to say. So don't tell us any changes. I couldn't be more hornswoggled or, horsewhipped. I'm done at that point, right? As coaches, we sometimes forget that we can't fix everything. Sometimes we have to point people in the right direction and let them empower and fix it themselves. If they've asked us to focus on a particular section or problem instead of every topic, it's going to help us to do better, to understand that topic and to be more flexible. I remember I was at Sam's the other day, and they had a catering truck in the parking lot, and a catering truck in the parking lot, that it was so interesting because they said, we're the specialist in all catering service. We specialize in all catering services is what I was working. I'm like, how can you specialize in everything? You specialize in everything, that makes you a generalist, right? It was just one of those things that made me go, not ordering from that catering company anytime soon. But if you can really zoom in and understand the purview of what's being done, and people are cognizant about the ecosystems and the roles and the accountabilities that exist, and we know how the coach fits in like a puzzle piece and can help you actually influence areas where the team's going to be successful, you can really, really dig in and get things done. Now, I'm going to confess right up front and say it's not easy. There are things that are going to be tough about doing this, but what I can tell you is that the reward is great, because reward doesn't come from doing easy things. Reward comes from overcoming some of those tough challenges. So that's going to do it for this episode. I hope that you did take away something. If you have a topic that you're passionate about, please feel free to reach out to us. Learn more at agiledad.com. We would love to hear from you. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.